We are surrounded by invisible walls all the time. They're not made of brick or anything, but of pure data and code. They're basically the silent gatekeepers of our entire digital lives, deciding what we get to see and where we get to go. And honestly, most of the time they work so well we don't even notice they're there. But oh, you definitely feel them when you run straight into one. It's that moment, right? You try to open a file you desperately need, and the system just slams a digital door right in your face. Ah, yes, the classic. We have all seen this. It is so frustrating, it's a complete roadblock, and it's a very clear sign that you've just hit one of those invisible walls. But here's where things get, well, less about annoyance and more about being genuinely terrifying. What happens when these walls fail? What happens when they don't stop someone else? The consequences can be absolutely catastrophic. We're talking about a major security breach. To really see just how critical this is, let's walk through a classic permission nightmare. This is the story of how one tiny forgotten detail can spiral into a complete and total disaster. So it all starts pretty innocently. On day one, a sysadmin is trying to fix an urgent issue. They grant a whole team modify access to a top-level finance folder. Keyword, temporary. But, you guessed it, they forget to undo it. Fast forward 6 months. That temporary permission is still there, silently cascading down to every single file and subfolder. And then today, an intern on that team who has absolutely no business seeing budget spreadsheets accidentally opens one up and changes it. The damage is done, and the worst part, nobody even knows until a routine audit kicks off a wave of pure panic. And this, right here, is the terrifying reality. It doesn't take some super sophisticated hacker. All it takes is one single forgotten permission, one overly generous setting to bring an entire system's security crashing down. We're talking about risking financial data, customer trust, the whole shebang. Okay, so how do we prevent that nightmare scenario? Well, we have to understand the unbreakable rules of the game. We need to decode the fundamental language our computers use to build these invisible walls in the first place. That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The best way to think about it is like a huge building with thousands of locked doors. The system is the security guard, and it has to decide in a split second who gets a key and for which door. And it all boils down to just a few core principles. So at its core, there are really 4 main keys the system can hand out. You've got read, that's simple. You can look, but you can't touch. Then there's write, which lets you create new things and change existing ones. Modify is the power combo. It lets you read, write, and delete. And then you have full control. This is the master key, the skeleton key. It does absolutely everything, including changing the locks on the doors themselves. You do not hand this one out lightly. Now, here's a concept that is both an incredible time saver and at the same time a huge source of danger. It's called inheritance. Remember our nightmare story? Permissions on a top-level folder just automatically flow down to everything inside it. It's like a family trait being passed from parent to child, whether you want it to or not. This brings us to the ultimate showdown. What happens when you have rules that conflict with each other? Let's say you're in the sales team group and the executives group, and both of those are allowed access. But you're also in a contractors group that is explicitly denied access. Who wins this fight? The answer is simple, and it is absolute. Deny. Every single time. A single deny permission is like the ultimate veto power. It doesn't matter if you have 100 other allow permissions, one deny shuts them all down. If you remember nothing else from this, remember this. Deny always wins. It is the most important rule in the entire system. So, knowing the rules is half the battle. But what if I told you there's a powerful feature that takes your security to a whole other level? Think of it like an invisibility cloak for your most sensitive data. You see, by default, when you browse a file server, you can see every single folder, even the ones you can't get into. This is not only super confusing for everybody, but it's a huge security risk. It's like advertising, hey, secret vault over here, even if you don't have the key. It just invites people to try and find a way in. And this is where the magic happens. On the left is what most people see. You can see those folders, confidential salaries, executive bonuses, even if clicking them just gives you that access denied error. But on the right, with the invisibility cloak on, it's officially called access-based enumeration, or ABE. Poof, they just vanish. If you don't have access, you don't even know the folder exists. It's cleaner, it's simpler, and it is infinitely more secure. Okay, We get the rules, and we know about the cool tools. So how do we put all this together to actually prevent that data leak nightmare? Well, it really just comes down to a few golden rules. First, always, and I mean always, assign permissions to groups that are based on job roles, not to individual people. It is so much easier to add someone to the finance team group than it is to hunt down permissions on 20 different folders. Second, let inheritance do the heavy lifting for you. And third, please document what you're doing. A simple note explaining who has access and why is an absolute lifesaver down the road. And you know what? I'm going to say this one more time because it is the most critical best practice of them all. Never, ever assign permissions directly to a person's user account. It just creates a chaotic, unmanageable mess. Always, always, always use security groups. This is the absolute cornerstone of a sane and secure system. So there you have it. We've gone from a potential disaster to really understanding the core rules and best practices for building a secure digital world. You now have the knowledge to look at your own systems and actually see the invisible walls that are there to protect them. So let's do a quick recap. File permissions are those invisible rules. Deny is the ultimate trump card that beats everything. Inheritance lets those permissions flow down automatically. ABE is your invisibility cloak to hide what people shouldn't even know is there. And, most importantly, build your digital fortress on the solid foundation of groups, not individual people. These permissions, they're just one type of hidden structure that shapes our digital experience every single day. So now that you know how to see these walls, it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else is out there silently guiding our actions and protecting our data completely out of sight? Definitely something to think about.